Hello, I'm Kyle with Give Pause Hobby. We are here indoors for Game Garage solo review. This time, taking a look at Deep Space D-6, this adorable little box. Deep Space D-6, first of all, looks like a little book, like one of those choose your own adventure books from those who may have done that growing up. And as you might imagine, it's filled with D6s. I have the expansion, the endless expansion, fits nicely into the box here, so you can see or store everything in the same spot. So the gameplay is super basic. Obviously, you have a bunch of D6s with the 6 different sides. 5 of them are stations, whoops, and one of them is kind of this like threat radar thing, which, like most dice-based games, is kind of the lock it in, something bad happens result. Each round, you're going to roll your dice. So, as you can see, we lock in these immediately. So that happens like that. And actually, as soon as this is full, you're immediately going to draw the next card. And we have a pandemic. So from now on a 1, we're going to send a unit to the infirmary until we assign a scientist or the shield person. So that goes over here. As you can see, we have 2 internals and 4 external threats over here. We already have 1 person in infirmary, so this is not a great run. So these 3 would go over here to returned. Once you gather 3, it makes a new threat. Boom, they come back. So now we have these 2 crew, so we can choose either to use the die face on the station on the ship, so return all units from the infirmary, or return one of these things, which would have been nice had we not just gone right to 3, or we can instead assign this to take care of the pandemic. So we put it here, boom, pandemic is gone, and that's returned. Now we have, this is typically the basic damage. In this case, fire lasers. 1 damage plus 2 for each additional one of these assigned here. But we only have 1 crew left, and this can't go anywhere else, so we might as well fire 1 damage. The way damage works over here, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's the amount of hits. So when these ships come out, they tell you what their health is, and you put it at that stack. If this were to, say if we were to do 1 damage to Interceptor, because this does damage on all these rolls, this would go down over here. There's no limit to the number of ships that can be in 1 row. But let's say we just want to get rid of one of them. Fighter is already at 1, so we're going to assign the damage and get rid of that. So that goes to returned. You can assign crew in any order and take the effects that you would need to. And then once you're done assigning crew, you're going to draw a new threat. So we drew 1 because we got those 3. Distracted. So on a 3 or 4, return this unit, then discard. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a unit here, and it is no longer available. So he's wandering the ship. Now we roll the threat die on a 2. So that's a 3 or 4, that's a 1 or a 4, but this and this are both 2s. We have -1 hull and then -5 hull, then discard. We do have shields. We have 4 shields. So 1 will come from this, and then 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 0 shields and 5 hull. Now, there are times when things say ignore shields, and obviously you do that. Then you discard this, like it says, and you gather all available crew, which is now only 4 because 1's in the infirmary and 1's distracted, and you keep going. Just like that. You keep going until you either make it through the whole deck, you beat the boss, or if you don't have the boss, you just make it survive through the deck, or you go to 0 hull. And then in the game, you have 4 different ships, which are all little maps, which is really neat touch on the back. They have kind of the backstory, offense, defense, and utility for each of the ships. So each of them will have kind of their health, their shield, and all the stations, while they use the same 6 dice faces, because obviously you need to do that, they all have different actual ways of using them. Some of them, like the Manananaware, Mananaware, crushed it, are very different from the other ones. So it's well, first of all, let's just get this out of the way. If you've ever played FTL, which is a iOS game or an app, or it's also on Steam, where it's a real-time game where you're going point to point to point, either choosing your adventure, kind of saving people, picking up supplies, or having ship-to-ship combat. It is pretty much the DICE game version of that, which to me was a definite selling point because I loved FTL and played the heck out of it. And it's kind of, even though it's not in any way actually connected, it's true to that style in that you have the base ship and then you have the other ships that are like, slightly more complicated in different ways, or at least different. And so I'm actually, when I put it into BG stats, I put in there which ship I played as. So I have a win ratio for different ships, which I think is pretty fun. But anyway, so you're going through and you are, on each turn, you're flipping over a threat card, one of these bad boys, which are sometimes internal strife, so friendly fire, or cosmic existentialism. But sometimes they are external, raiders, like a ship, or solar winds, which is external, but it's not really a ship that you can fight against. And then there are also these don't panic cards, which mean exactly what they sound like. This is the way the game, maybe the dial you can twist to make it more or less easy. The more don't panic cards you have, the less you have to panic in the game. Thumbs up. Okay, so let's get into talking about the game. The three categories. Remember, meatbag clarity, good way to learn the rules, to carry over into multiplayer, and then overall experience solo-wise. So first of all, meatbag clarity, 2 thumbs up. Hands down. The rule book is super clear. Each ship, because the different stations are different, each ship has right on that station the rules and the instructions of how to use it. You're just rolling dice, you're assigning them. The bad ones get added up until another threat comes out, and the threats are extremely simple. For the ships outside, they have dice rolls on them. So when you roll the threat die, any of the ships with that result, they send you however much damage they say on the card. Simple. The internal struggles. Friendly fire. Immediately send all of your red dice faces to the infirmary, then discard. Easy. But then some of them, so that's a one and done and just goes away. Cosmic existentialism sticks around until you assign a scientist die to it. Must be completed before assigning any other science crew. So it's a speed bump essentially, but it sticks around. You have to assign a guy to it. All the rules are super clear. I don't think I've ever been confused in the game. There are sometimes when you are eventually playing against the boss, either the original or in the Endless expansion, where the rules to the boss are kind of slightly askew of the normal rules. So I did have to go back and forth with the rule book a couple of times, just making sure I was, doing it right. But aside from that, the game is a breeze to play. So now, good way to learn the rules to carry over into multiplayer. Obviously, that's not a thing. Just like with Maquis, there is no multiplayer. I mean, also like Maquis, you could sit down and play it with a friend, but they wouldn't be participating in any meaningful way aside from talking about strategy. So we don't need to talk about that here. So finally, solo experience overall. For this, I'm going to go 1 thumb up to 2 thumbs up. Personally, I'm leaning more towards the 2 thumbs up side, but it is an incredibly punishing game. I have played a number of times. Oh, why keep track of the stats if I don't actually, use them when I need to? Deep Space D-6. So I have played the game 19 times, and I have won 3 times. So yeah, and so by ship, I've played as the Halcyon, the original, like the neutral ship, 11 times. I've won once. I have played as the Athena, which is kind of like the alternate like neutral ship. 5 times. I've won twice. I have played the AG-8 1 time, and I have won with that 1 time. Wait, these are 4. Oh, one of the times was Kate playing. Okay, so I played as the Athena 4 times. I have only won once. So one of those times the Athena was Kate, my wife, playing, and she won with it. So well done. So I played once and won once with AG-8. I have played 3 times with the Mananoware. 3 times, and I have not won with that one. So to me, I'm okay with it. I like the challenge of the game. I think it's, people play solitaire for years and years and years. You don't win that game that often. I'm not saying that this is just a different reskinning of solitaire, because obviously that's not true. But it's in that vein of playfully knocking your head against a wall that doesn't hurt too much, and you actually kind of enjoy it. That gives it way more of a negative outlook. It's a super fun, very tense game. There has not been a play of the game that didn't start with at least some point me saying, I don't know what happened last time, because I seem to be in control of the situation. And all it takes is that one ship you can't quite kill, or that one event inside the ship that's meaning you can't assign your scientists, whatever it may be, that just screws everything up. Just at first, just barely, but then it like snowballs into this catastrophic event. Catastrophic. Which is, again, just like FTL. There were plays of that game where I made it really far into it, feeling great, and then there's just one battle that, because of something happening, it just totally fell apart, and I, went up in smoke. So if you're not into that, that's where I would just put a 1 thumb up. You might get kind of a little bit fatigued by it, but between 1 and 2 thumbs up, it's a wonderful experience. It's a little bit hard to come across. I think a little easier now. There has been a reprinting, but overall, Deep Space D6, it's a super small package, just like MacLeod, so you can carry it with you in a bag, and it'll be with you for whenever you need it. And I highly recommend it for anyone who's interested in a challenging, just kind of wild solo adventure with some depth to it that you can really explore. Deep Space D6. It's also just thematically so cool. The fact it looks like a book, all these the cards for the different ships, it's just a blast. So thanks for stopping by. We'll see you around the channel for whatever comes next. Review, teach, play through, talk with Kate, who knows. This has been Deep Space D6, and it's delightful, so you should go play it. If you have it on your shelf, take it off and play it. I think I want to now, and I haven't played it in a few months. If you don't own it, and it sounds interesting, go look for it. With that, I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.